as the clock ticks over. We're going to go ahead and get started and let those stragglers trickle in as they come. But welcome to another great iClassPro webinar, Principles to Win in all caps in retail today, presented by Jodi Levy of Destira Leotards. Before we get to our special guests, I would like to take a moment to review the housekeeping items, as well as a few of the amazing features from iClassPro's point of sale functionality. As always, please add any questions you have to the chat. We have iClassPro team members standing by to answer your iClassPro questions, and we will have a Q&A with those chat questions for Jodi at the conclusion of her presentation. Also, this webinar will be recorded and distributed so that you can share with team members or reference in the future. Now, a few quick highlights of what iClassPro can do to help with your point of sale. With iClassPro, your team can quickly and easily set up your pro shop. You can offer your customers a variety of products, from concessions and facility branded apparel to Destira's amazing and even holiday themed leotards. You can easily keep track of your inventory and offer variations such as different sizes, colors, and styles, all with just a few clicks. Your customers will have access to your products across multiple devices, including the iClassPro app, and can easily place their order, and your team can have their items ready for pickup before their next visit. Currently, iClassPro is not configured to ship directly. New orders automatically populate on your office portal's online activity section in real time to make sure you never miss a fulfillment. If you are a current customer and would like to start using iClassPro's point of sale or need any assistance at all, please visit support.iclasspro.com and utilize the quick and easy how-to guide or contact our fantastic support team to help get you started. Now, we are thrilled to be joined today by a tremendous partner, the co-CEO of Destira, Jodi Levy, and the holiday season is here, and we hope you are ramping up for a busy finish to the year. We want to do our part to supplement your knowledge, confidence, and tools so that your retail journey easily runs like a pro and you see exciting new growth in your retail sales for Q4 and beyond. There is no better way to learn from an industry expert like Jodi. Destira is a renowned family and women-owned brand that was founded over 30 years ago. Partnering with thousands of gym clubs, hundreds of thousands gym families across the country, Destira has proudly outfitted over 1 million gymnasts and counting. Jodi and the team of Destira are dedicated to inspiring young athletes to find self-empowerment and self-expression in the gym and in life. When registering for this webinar, we polled you about the topics you most want to learn about, and tremendous interest was expressed in running your pro shop soundly, selling and showcasing compelling products, and delivering a strong strategy, all of which Jodi will touch on in this webinar. Without further ado, the iClass team is so pleased to have you, Jodi, and the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Steve. All right, let me start my screen share here. And we'll get things going. All right, Steve, can you confirm we've got the right screen up here for me to kick things off?
Yep.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I am thrilled to be here today with each of you. I see some familiar names in the list here and also some new ones. And I really appreciate iClassPro for this opportunity and the opportunity to speak to such a fantastic roster of people. I was really excited to pull together this presentation to share what I've learned from the perspective of a vendor over the last 20 years within the gymnastics industry. Today, we're going to be talking for about 45 minutes. I'm a fast talker, and I'm going to move quickly through a number of topics. This won't be a deep dive. We're really going to kind of skim the surface, and then you can dig in with your teams and your own pro shop to fully implement. The Destira team is also here to support if you have any questions after this lecture. I'll also make an effort to kind of recap key takeaways after each discussion point, so you have time to really reflect on immediate steps you can take to maximize the performance of your own shop. So we're going to dive into 5 main discussion points today. The first one is retail strategy. So how do you compete? What is your purpose in your pro shop? Do you have a purpose in your pro shop? Second point is merchandising. So what do you buy and who are you buying for? The third piece is showcasing products. So how do you sell it? What does your display look like? What are the key components that you should be thinking about on a daily basis around showcasing product to increase sales? And then lastly, we'll wrap up with more retail finance for how you can get the most return on your investment, as well as Q4 readiness. The next 60 days are peak selling season for all of you in your pro shops, and our goal is to make sure that you are ready to launch in November and December to prioritize and maximize holiday sales. So Steve already gave a nice quick intro, so I'll go ahead and flip through this slide. I've spent, as he mentioned, many years of my career working with the gymnastics industry, and I'm super passionate about service and relationships and entrepreneurship. And so that lens will kind of carry us through this conversation. I also want to acknowledge that I am a lifelong learner and nothing I say today will be groundbreaking. In fact, I've learned most of it by reading many, many books, attending lectures at Congress. I just got back from the Summit conference late last night. I belong to a EO, which is a global entrepreneurship organization. And then most importantly, I listen to you, our customers. This slide has a number of my favorite books that are centered on business leadership and keeping the customer at the center of what we do. And I'm here today to kind of consolidate and share what I've learned. And so I ask of you that you listen to understand and you approach this content with curiosity, and that you feel free to contribute ideas that have worked in your own business, because we're all here to hopefully learn together today. And this is my ask of you. I would love for you to be fully present for these 45 minutes. Like you, many of you, I have 3 kids, I'm running a company, and I'm here today to just give you a focused plan for the next 60 days in your shop. So if you are able, like, take that cell phone that's in your lap and turn off the notifications, turn off the notifications on your computer, and just be here now. I know it's hard, but for the outcome of this hour, just do it. This talk is going to provide a lot of context and structure for the subject of retail, but I would argue that your focus in this 45 minutes is what's actually going to lead to some results. So invest in this moment and be selfish, because that selfishness is what's going to lead to value for you later. Okay, so we're diving into the meat. So we're going to start with strategy. So strategy is your big picture. It's your 10,000 foot view. This is kind of the foundation of your shop, and it's your focused idea. So we all know why you're in business. You're selling swim or gymnastics lessons. But what do you have to offer that's so different or compelling that your customers are going to choose to shop from you? You can't please everybody. We have competitors like Target, other online mass merchants. Who are the people that are in your store that are going to choose your pro shop or boutique? The first step to deciding this is that you need a strategy that's compelling and easy to execute, because this is the framework we're going to use to make all the buying decisions for your shop. So I'm curious to know if any of you have strategies or focused ideas in your pro shop already. Like, would anybody be willing to share anything that they, like a strategy that they have in their pro shop? And Steve, you let me know if anybody's popping up here. And if we're quiet, that's good, because I have something to teach you. All right, I'm gonna go with quiet since Steve is quiet.
No one put anything in the chat.
Okay. So hopefully after this next 10 minutes, you're gonna have answers for me as we move through it. So I would argue that strategy is kind of comprised of 5 main focus areas. And your job as the gym owner or the pro shop manager or the customer experience director is to make sure that you pick the certain ones that you want to focus on, because you cannot be them all. So you have to determine your focus, and that's step number 1. So the opportunities we have for focuses and strategy are assortment, convenience, service, price, and experience. So I'm going to take a few minutes to ground you in what each of these mean. So assortment strategy is one differentiator you could offer in your pro shop. And if this is your focus, then the idea is that you're relevant to your shoppers in a way that you kind of adhere to this unique assortment strategy under any conditions. And so Target is a perfect example of this. Target is our one-stop shop for everything from groceries to auto parts. And as gym and swim school owners, we all know that they also carry leotards and shorts, swimsuits, and goggles. Home Depot is another one. This is everything for your DIY handy person. And then we have Amazon, which sells pretty much anything that can be purchased, including all of the needs of your clients. So I would argue it's really difficult to compete on assortment when you're up against mass merchants like the ones that we see on our screen today. So the second focus for strategy could possibly be convenience. And so if your strategy is convenience, then you have to have the most convenient store for your customers to purchase what they want. That means that you're easy and you're a fast choice. You have extended hours, you have same-day service. So Walgreens, for example, is a convenience strategy. They have 8,500 locations now. Most of them are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm sure that some of you have ever had to travel and transfer a prescription. Like, they just make it easy. Zappos is the same. It's the easiest way to try on and send back shoes. The other piece of convenience that I want to point out is that all e-commerce sites, by the nature of the fact that you can order any time of the day from anywhere 24/7, makes convenience a big part of their strategy. So the third focus is service. And if service is your strategy, you are friendly, you have knowledgeable people, you have friendships with your customers that other people can't replicate, and the customers know you care about them and that you have their best interests at heart. So Nordstrom service is legendary. I mean, I've heard stories of people returning things there that was product that they didn't even sell, and they take it back. They'll overnight items, they'll do free hemming. Another example of amazing service is the restaurant or coffee shop that knows your name when you walk in to place your order, or maybe the neighborhood boutique that makes every effort to call you when they get in new product. The interesting thing is, I don't know of any examples of a retailer who's both like a low price, has a low price focus, operating with a high service strategy. So again, this ties back to you. We can't be everything to everybody. So I want you to be thinking about what you can be to your customers. Price is the fourth component to strategy. And with pricing, you have to have unbeatable prices. And your customers know that the way you price your products is fair and even lower than market, and they offer true value. And some people will say, like, everybody will save money when they shop at your store. So an example of this one is Walmart. I mean, price is the backbone of their strategy. They've got everyday low prices. They focus on low cost real estate right on the fringe of the community. And then we also have Dollar Tree, where it's $1 for everything. And what they do is they buy small size products from off-brand vendors with closeout goods. So they have a focus on volume, and then these low price retailers will rarely carry like a full line of products, and they focus only on basic SKUs in terms of color, flavor, and sizes. And then the last component to speak to is experience. And in this case, your store is a community, and it's more than like just a place to shop. It's a destination to learn and to be with like-minded people. Hopefully your wheels are kind of lighting up when you think about experience, because you've all got this. So Apple is a great example here, because it's just like this mecca for tech lovers who want to see all the latest new gadgets. Apple will place all of their stores in these like beautiful architectural urban centers like the Fifth Avenue Glass Cube in New York, just to make it a special experience for everyone who visits. And then you also have somebody like REI, where they have a climbing wall, they have kayak water demos from the parking lot. This is an experience-based store for the outdoor enthusiasts, right? So the store inspires your customers to get outside and use their products. So now I want you to pause and I want you to think about your strategy and which of these 5 components do you most relate to in your store. If you can't be everything to everybody, what can you be, right? So you can't have the lowest price, convenience, and have the best service and assortment. And the biggest temptation that I see when working with pro shops is we all try to be everything to everybody. And the strategy is about making a choice. And you have to repeat it until you can hardly stand to hear it anymore. And that's at that point, your customers will know what your message is. So you're top of mind when they're ready to make their next purchase, whether it's a leotard or a swimsuit or a new pair of goggles or a new pair of shorts. So I want you to take a minute to either write down, or if you're feeling vulnerable, put it up in the chat, what you believe your strategy or focus area is most strongly suited to in your pro shop. Like, where would you say you focus in your pro shop? And where would you say your greatest strength is? Anybody? Steve, are we getting anything here?
No, let's get those in the chat.
Don't be shy, you guys. Come on.
Jennifer Campbell said experience and convenience.
Okay, I love it. Thank you, Jennifer.
Becky also said experience and convenience, and Natalie said service.
Okay. So I would argue that most of you have strategies focused on service and experience. And the why there is because with service, you have the luxury of repeat customers on a weekly basis that come into your facility for your classes. So if I go shopping for my kids for back to school, I'm going to go into Gap or Old Navy once every 6 months, maybe. You have this luxury of having relationships with your customers. They are in there once, twice, for some of your teen girls, 4 or 5 times a week. So you know the athlete, you know the parents, you know the caregivers, and you authentically care for them, and you have their best interests at heart. And it's amazing. Coming off of Summit just this past 3 days, I listened to coaches and club owners come by the booth, and I didn't hear, oh, I like this. I heard specifics like, oh, Tabitha would love this, or Maddie would love this, or my team would obsess over this. So you know what will sell and who will buy because you authentically care about your gymnasts and their grownups. The other side of it is experience, because your pro shop is 100% part of your client experience. I mean, they can physically look through the glass window or out across the floor and see everything you sell in action. It's like that REI experience where you want to buy all the camping gear just because somebody else is suddenly doing it. And moreover, I think I would argue that your store is like a meeting place for families. Parents love to chat. They love being in the gym because they're with other like-minded people. And so they have 45 minutes to kill in that class. And if you can entice them to stay and browse your shop versus running the grocery store, you're adding this like experiential value to each class registration and improving the customer experience. I bet some of you are quiet and you would argue that you want to play the price game. And I think price can also be smart. It kind of depends on your market. But your primary service is the classes that you offer. Like, you're never going to make mortgage on your leotard sales, but there's certainly a piece of that puzzle. So I've added a small section on price as well at the end of this talk. I think some of you might also think about assortment. I would personally disagree with this effort. I think variety is good, but we could never be a big box store where you can get, your morning coffee, your dog food, a new shirt, and a microwave oven all in one space. So for the sake of our time and based on the experience that we've gained working within this industry, we're going to continue down the path of service and experience today. Okay. So if service and experience are your strategy, how do you compete and become something that your online competitors cannot be? So for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to talk to you all about ways that you can beat online retailers so you're relevant and compelling to your customers. So the first component to speak to is being social. I would argue, especially post the pandemic, that people are craving and desiring more authentic interactions. what I'm speaking to here is I'm talking about saying hi to every parent that comes in, asking them how they're doing, and learning their names. Thinking about the inside of your shop or your waiting room where your product sits. How can you make your store more engaging and social? Over the years, we've kind of gathered ideas and we'll send out tips and tricks. But some of my favorites that people do to make their waiting area a social place is they offer the freebies. So some offer warm tea or cider to invite people in. Others have free Wi-Fi. They have like a trivia chalkboard in the lobby. I also want you to think about your location. So is your pro shop accessible? I was talking to somebody yesterday. They told me that their pro shop used to be behind a closed door in a glassed-in area. If you're answering yes, or you have the same concept in your boutique, I would argue that you should reconsider your location. Your product should be centrally located with vision that goes from the front desk to the waiting area for parents. And it should be they should be able to touch it and feel it at any point of their time in the club versus going into a boutique to shop. Make it welcoming and make it a central point. The other component to being social is obviously social media, which is why I included these two snips from Instagram. Our customers are all online. And so many of you I've heard over the years say, oh, I just don't do social media. I only do Facebook. You have to get over this and get over it as a task that you have to complete, because you have to do this to be relevant. If you can activate an account on beyond Facebook and Twitter and get yourself onto TikTok or Instagram or even Yelp, then you can become relevant to your customers day in and day out as they scroll the internet. And you can do things like celebrate new products. I have clubs that'll go live and just do a box opening every time a new shipment arrives. You could photograph new collections like we have on the bottom left here, or just put up one quick snip to celebrate that new leotards are in. So just make posting about your pro shop part of your everyday practice, and then build a personality around it that's cohesive with the service that you run in your business already. If you make your experience human, your customers are going to react to it. Listening is super important. I'll speak from my own experience running Destira.com. We can talk to our customers, but I can't listen. And you have the luxury of training your team to ask good questions, to understand what your customers need before offering any solutions to sell. So you should never let your shoppers browse alone. You should have a chat with them every time to know what they're looking for, to know how you can help, to know what you're missing, to know what sizes they need. Just listen, 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 because your customers will tell you what they want. If you take the time to listen and then you look at your shop, you can also recognize how many questions you can answer with a sign, because some parents won't want to talk, but maybe if you put up signs around price or sizing or how to care for a leotard, they're going to be that much more willing to spend. Friendly sounds obvious, but I don't know about you guys. I would much rather be helped by a friendly, smart person than figure anything out on my own. So it goes back to focusing on every customer that walks through the door. We all know how good it feels to hear our names. Learn your customers' names, learn the athletes and the parents. I walk into my daughter's club and they have no idea who I am, and I hardly get a hello. If I would love to know more about what's happening in the gym and be part of the community and have them take that opportunity to get to know me as well. Do you guys, I don't know if anybody's read Jeffrey Gitomer. I'm not sure how you say it. He wrote the Sales Bible and the Little Gold Book of Yes. I put this quote up here because he says that salespeople kind of solve problems, but make people laugh while offering them something they genuinely need. And he says, if you want to be the best salesperson, first you have to be the best person. And I just love this as a concept for selling. Number 4 for service is embracing your expertise. You're on this call because you either went into the business or you decided to join the company, and you're here because you're passionate about what you do and the products you carry, and you're an expert. Like, I can't see all of your faces, but if I ask you to raise your hands, I'm pretty sure that most of you have worn leotards. You know how to wash a leotard, and you know which leotards are the most comfortable or popular or trendy. You have a significant advantage over a parent of a young one who's coming in to sign up for their first gymnastics class. So take this knowledge and use it to make suggestions for your customers when they arrive. The reason I put these pictures up of reviews here is these are from Powell's Books, which is a neighborhood bookstore here in Portland, Oregon. And I don't know about you guys, but I read reviews constantly when I'm shopping online, and people are used to reading reviews to make buying decisions. I want to recommend that each of you use and create a review system in your pro shop to bridge the gap. So if you include reviews in products, or if you make a section of your favorites, or you could even let your team girls write product reviews of their favorite vendor, you're going to give your customer that much more buying confidence to make a choice on their own if you don't have capacity to be there coaching them through every buying decision. And then lastly, be smart. So, you got to have what your customers need in stock. You have to take what you hear and put knowledge into action. You have to make your customers feel good about giving you their business. So remind them that if I were to shop from you, thank them and tell them that, my money is staying in the neighborhood, and, don't give me a hassle if I have a problem. Like, really mean it when you say thank you to your customers. You know the value of an in-person service experience that goes really well. And you also know how horrible an in-person service, like a bad in-person service experience can be. So make your store a place where your customer can't wait to come back and have to shop again. Okay, so that kind of wraps our discussion on service and experience. So before we jump ahead, I want you to take a minute to connect with that content. So are there 2 or 3 opportunities you've heard where you want to improve your business? Or are there things that you're doing through the lens of service that I didn't mention that you would want to share? What are the things that are going well, and what are the opportunities where you want to improve your business? Are you talking to your customers when they wander into your shop? Are you engaging with them? Are you making eye contact? Are you coaching your team on how to ask these questions?
So Barbara mentioned utilizing social media more.
Great. Yep. Just last night, I watched a gym with a box cutter open their consignment box and genuinely get excited, and I fell into it for 20 minutes at the airport. I mean, I made all that product. I knew exactly what was going to be there, but it was fun to follow along. And the girls in your gym would love that. They would even love to be part of the going live on social for you. Like, let your girls do a lot of that talking for you. Okay. So moving forward, we've talked about strategy. We've talked about service and experience. So now we have to talk about merchandising. So what is merchandising? With merchandising, you are a purchasing agent for your customer, and it's your job to search the market to find the product that your customers want. So when you shop, you have to see the world through their eyes and not your own. So I'll tell you a story. Merchandising is what I would argue is the most fun part of being a retailer, and also the most difficult. So about once a quarter, I've been doing this for 20 years. I consider many of you friends, and I will get calls from a club owner that says, "Oh, Jodi, I'm concerned about you guys. I do not like what I received in your shipment. What are you doing?" And they'll say things like, "I don't know why you would put tacos or avocados on leotards. Like, these are hideous." And my response is always, you know what? Let the customer decide, because I doubt you're the one that's going to wear this leotard. I often don't like what we make either. Pink is not my favorite color. But I trust our design team, in terms of their trend research and what is hot in the market. And more often than not, a club owner calls back laughing and requests more taco leotards. So keep your customer at the focus, because you are not wearing the swimsuit. You are not wearing the leotard. You are not cuddling the stuffy that you have as an upsell in your pro shop. So you have to understand your consumer, what they're looking for, what their needs and interests are, and what their spending habits and budgets look like. I saw a couple of questions around how do I price my product, and it's step one is understanding what they're willing to spend, and then finding product that matches your customer's needs. The second component to it is thinking about what you sell. So your business is based on learning to swim or learning gymnastics, and your customers need the apparel to wear. So and then you have customers who are, once they're there and they have their first leotard, they still will want more like irresistible add-ons or impulse items. So when you're shopping or you're stocking your shop, you want to focus your energy on 80% of the needs, and the other 20% can kind of be those impulse purchases. And that way you'll keep your strategy focused on servicing them and giving them a good customer experience. Okay, so this slide kind of showcases how every product can have a role in your pro shop. So as I was saying earlier, for most of you, the primary business driver is going to be leotards and swimsuits, which make up about 80% of your sales. And so your goal is to make sure that you have traffic builders. That's what drives people into the store. And then you have a smaller range of other items that can be added on to the category. So if you think about like an example of this, I'm trying to think of outside of our sport, is maybe like how shoe stores will now sell socks in addition to shoes, or we now have a really great assortment of drinks and snacks at every gas station. So for you, if you start with leotards, you could sell one item at $45. But if you move to the right on this slide, you could also sell it as a gift set where you add on a short and a grip bag. And then beyond the short and the grip bag, you could also add gift wrap for another $6. And then you also maybe have snacks that you could upsell for your customers, because you know your parents are running around from one activity to the next. So you want to think about your core needs. That leotard's going to make up 80%. And then cheap and easy add-ons to snacks, drinks, gift wrap, gift cards, low price items that will increase your average order value. You can also bring in like seasonal products, like branded logo wear or water bottles. I was in Sedona, Arizona last week, and I brought home stickers, and I paid like $10 for 3 stickers, which was a terrible impulse buy, but I did it. So what about like I love gymnastics stickers or gym stickers with your logo on them? I was talking to Pacific Edge out of Fairfield, California this week at the summit, and they mentioned they just bought a smoothie machine that's basically printing money for their gym. Other clubs sell like stuffed beanie babies that are merchandised with the product. Like, who doesn't want a sloth stuffy to match their sloth leotard? So what are the other game changers that you can bring into your shop that your families can't get enough of? How do you take it from just the leotard and add on all of these other items to take it from a $45 purchase to an average order that looks like $80 for you? So you also need to consider the amount of retail space that each of your locations have. I've been visiting gyms for 20 years, and some of you have these beautiful build outs and others have tiny little vignettes. And so a smaller store, you don't have the same luxury of holding like vast amounts of inventory. So you have to be selective in your product catalog, and then you have to use your space constraints and think about the market to help guide what you're buying for your shop. So we're going to talk a little bit more. So now we have a lens on what we want to buy for our store, where the opportunity zones are. We're going to shift gears into how to showcase product. So I want to talk about assortment. And when you assort your shop, if you receive a box of inventory in, the first thing you're going to look at is color and style. And you want to understand seasonality and the neighborhood differences in what you purchase. So I spoke to the point that I don't always love what we make. For the last 20 years, our most popular colors have been purple, pink, and turquoise. And the 20% difference is where we play with trend and fashion. So you should always focus on those core colors because they're proven bestsellers for every age group. And then you want to think about your local market. So for example, a gym in LA is not going to have the same customer demands or taste as a store in Kansas City or New York. As a company, when we ship your boxes, we pay attention to regional differences. So we know that red and black is always going to be huge in the Pacific Northwest. We know that red, white, and blue is going to be popular in Texas. I know that cooler climates have more jewel tones, and hotter climates like, our Southwest love brights and neons. Cactus prints kill it in California and Nevada. All across the Southwest, not in Michigan. So if you're the merchandiser and you move from California to Ohio, that cactus that you love isn't necessarily going to sell for your new market there. So you have to think about your customers as you buy, both locally and then regionally, and then also shop for your weather. We also want you to think about how you organize your racks. So I know that you can walk into the club every morning and the racks look beautiful. And then you have that 1 4-year-old who touches everything and pulls down the product while their mom is signing them up for class. And that is life. But you need to make your pro shop a priority in terms of looking good throughout the day. A couple tips here is that you should never let your shop look empty. So if you have a full shelf and an organized rack is always better than having holes in like a picked over store. And so if you display on a wall, I want you to pull the merchandise forwards to create like a really nice, well cared for look. Even if the racks are empty in the back, that front face out is going to feel nice and full for your customer. If you have rounders or racks on the floor, distribute your rack so your product's spaced evenly. They call it finger spacing, and you can see this example from Target. I've just been taking pictures for the last 6 weeks of how nicely this rack looks. You can imagine what it would look like if everything was kind of slumped together. And then if something sells down and there's only 1 or 2 items left, put them in a new location and then replace them with something that's like heavily in stock. Not only will these efforts make your store more fun and enjoyable, but they'll bring your customers back because they think there's new product. Every time we go to a meet, halfway through the session, we'll just rotate our racks, and without a doubt, parents will walk by and be like, "Oh, did you put out new stuff?" I'm like, "No, we just turned it." So you got to make them look. You got to keep them interested. It's far too often I visit clients and I see the same mistakes being made. So for some of us, our gyms have been open for 20 or 30 or 40 years, and we accumulate stuff. There's different kinds of racks made out of different materials and colors, and the product just looks totally cluttered, and a customer can't see your intention. I mean, 20 years ago, I can remember visiting a club in Pennsylvania, no names here, and they had their leotards hanging on a laundry line, strung from one end of the room and to the other, and everything was slumped to the middle. And their sales were about as good as their display. So our minds are naturally seeking out systems and patterns and order. So I want to ask each of you to, if you're in your gym right now, like look at your display and clear out the old stuff and do yourself a favor. And if you can choose like one scheme to tie everything together and create kind of a uniform system, it's going to be so much easier for your customers to navigate. The other thing I want to encourage is to look at a one-time investment in your hangers. Every hanger should match in your store. And I know that some vendors include hangers and others don't. There are high quality acrylic hangers that are made of like reinforced plastic that are a one-time investment for a lifetime of impact. I put them up here on this slide because nothing upgrades your store more than having it be consistent from one rack to the next. And when you use clear hangers, our product has a lot of color, and likely all the product in your swim or gym school does too. And the clear hangers makes them disappear on your rack, and you can focus on the color, and the leotards are what actually shine. I also want you to think about how much product is displayed. This is a picture I took back to school shopping this year. And clearly the way the product is displayed absolutely impacts the quality and the way I perceive the product. So you have to find balance in your space. You want to display key products prominently, but don't put out too much where it's just frustrating for a customer to try and pull through it. You also don't want to overwhelm them and give them too many options. And then lastly, I want to talk through 4 main ways to improve your displays. So you have beautiful racks now, you have your beautiful assortment plan. When you're hanging up your product, always start with that color. So when it comes to your shop, you just want it to be coordinated. This is actually the pro shop that we have at our distribution center in San Carlos. None of these leotards are the same. People come in to shop and we'll go back into our inventory and pull what they need. But because we're sorted by color and by style and then by size, it creates kind of a calm environment. So think about the way you feel shopping in like a Nordstrom type department store or a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx. One of the biggest differences between those two is the color organization. Lighting, oh my gosh, just turn on your lights. And if you don't have good lighting, get some. It might be simple, but you'd be surprised how many shops are just in the darkest color of the lobby. And then feature your best-selling items at the front of the store, because as people move around through your store, their interest dwindles as they move around. So put those best sellers front and center, and then put the sale items at the back. So if you have a sales shopper, they have to walk through to see everything to reach those sale items as well. And then lastly, I want to talk about your strategy. So if you, these pictures are from Stick It Gymnastics out on the East Coast. Steve was kind enough to send these. They do an amazing job of utilizing themes and holidays in their pro shop. And seasonal merchandising is so powerful, you guys. You can create a feeling in your pro shop that leverages an occasion that'll just boost your sales, boost your traffic, and drive those impulse purchases. I mean, nobody needs a Christmas leotard, and everybody wants them. And so, you know, Steve here has done an amazing job of evoking like emotion with both the fall palette that you can see in the upper window, and then creating a color story to go along with it. I've had clubs do like big stuffed baskets to represent Easter. They'll hang a stocking for Christmas. I've seen doll leotards hanging on a garland for their holiday tree that's in the gym. You can even bring in like scents or treats for holiday. I know I mentioned that hot apple cider for the fall. So whatever you commit to do, build a schedule and make it work for you and your programs. At Destira, we have different holidays represented every single month. Be realistic about what you can and can't do with your capacity. And then plan it like 30 to 60 days ahead of time, depending on the scale of the event. So at Destira, we went live with our holiday leotards, it's embarrassing, on October 1st, and they've been flying out the door already before Halloween. Valentine's Day comes like mid-January, like 2 to 3 weeks before the 14th of February. So task one person to own the transition of your shop each month from one holiday to the next, but make sure that when Christmas is over, you know, it's January 1, you don't come back in and you see the ghost of what was. Okay. So you're likely thinking to yourself, Jodi, these are great. I hope you think they're great, but you don't have time for this, or this is way more than I'm willing to do, or my pro shop needs so much work. Or maybe you're like, oh, I've got this. We've got this pro shop thing in the bag, which is great, because I hope you feel validated. But if you're the latter, let's talk about a few ways for you to solve for this. So number one, you have to teach your team how to do all of this. Retail is not hard. It just needs a lesson. So teach them how to be vigilant about filling holes. Teach them how to go get back stock and make it accessible if you sell down on a child medium. Like, expect your team to do the front facing and organize the product daily. It can't only sit on one person to manage when we're all running around with so many different hats on each day. These are easy projects that anybody can do, and they're actions that can be taken at the front end or the back end of any single shift. So this slide, I put together a couple ideas for a store checklist for start of shift or end of shift. And many owners tell me all the time, like, nobody will do it like I do. These are things that just have to be taught. So let your coaches manage this. You might find some inspiration from them outside of teaching a class, that they're really good at this. Make like stock rotation and cleanliness a part of what they learn the first week on the job for every new hire that's in your retail and front desk department. So it just becomes rote when they come in. A few more ideas. Okay, so we have our strategy. We're orienting around service and experience. We're thinking about how we're merchandising our shop. We're thinking about how we're showcasing the product. And now it's holiday sale time. So I work with Michaela from iClassPro to intentionally schedule this workshop in October to help you support your biggest opportunity, because it's the next 60 days in your pro shop that will be the busiest of the whole year. I think we can all relate to what happens to our own spending personally around the holiday season, and the focus that you give your pro shop in the next 60 days is really going to impact how your business ends the year. And that focus and the intention is going to have a significant impact on your year-end earnings. So this seems simple, but it goes back to the service component. Work on making your customers smile this year and really think about the service components. Tell your parents you know how much they've done this time of year. Show them you're happy to send them along on your way. Give them free gift wrapping. Take something off their plate, like make it a gift to your customers and then announce it on social media. I'm a parent myself, and the back to school and holiday season is a really hectic time. My kids are finally adjusting to all the new routines. We're back on the school schedule. And now we're laying on holidays and teacher conferences and gift giving and all the seasonal travel. So just know that tempers are going to run high, and focus on that patience with your customers. The other piece I want you to do is just tweak your product every single week. So I want you to reset your store with new products in the front facing out every single week, because this is when impulse sales happen. It's at their highest points. And just moving items around from shelves to racks to checkout counters to giving them better visibility is really going to take your sales to the next level. You want to review your inventory and think about shrink too. Shrink means like the sell down of your current inventory. If you think about your sales, like reflect on your sales from last holiday season and get your inventory to sit at the level that you need for this year. So did you sell out of child small, medium, or large? Like double down on your fastest selling sizes so you can have your sales kind of hold week over week. Because if you don't have fresh product or enough product as items sell, the choices are going to dwindle, and so you'll have less opportunity to make the sale as you have less product. So keep your racks really full so your customers have lots of buying options. A lot of vendors are trying to work through their end of year deals as well. So like you, they're trying to hit their sales goals, and it's often a good time to take advantage of those deals, whether it's equipment or software or racks or product. So pay attention there. And then stay connected. We talked a lot about being social, but service is the name of the game here. So, thank your community for helping you get through the year. Thank them for shopping from you. Assure them that, their support is the best holiday sentiment that they could send back your way. And then lastly, plan for your post-holiday recovery, like right now. Because if you don't have a transition plan, what happens in the gym when you close before Christmas and then you come back on December 30th or January 2nd when you reopen for classes? You don't want your pro shop to look like Christmas. So have a plan in place to get rid of all your holiday signs, all your holiday products, all your holiday promotions, and make sure your store looks as good after the holidays as it does like December 15th. Because you guys know what happens. January, February is nuts for clubs. You know, meet season starts, coaches and owners start traveling. We don't know Monday from Wednesday or Saturday. Just so think through all of those issues and solve for them now. The last topic here is turning inventory into cash. And this is really about the financials in your shop, which is where a lot of the questions lied with the registration. So how do you make more money off the product that you already have? So I want to spend the last couple minutes here talking about ways to improve the return on the inventory you do have. So number one, you want to align your stock levels with sales. So if you buy 40 Leos a month and you're only selling 10, that's a total drag. So look at your rates and reduce your purchase quantities if you have too much. Let your products sell down. Try buying more frequently. We have some gyms that shop every month, others that shop once a quarter. If you keep your turns nice and quick, your store will stay fresher and you'll be able to buy and restock more often and keep things looking interesting for your customers. I also want to encourage you to try buying in lower quantities. Sometimes volume discounts can look really good, but not if it's a load of inventory that's just going to collect dust. Increase your terms. So it's exactly that. If you can stretch your dollar by getting like net 30 or net 60 or net 90 terms with any of your vendors, that's going to allow you to have more cash to work with. Try consignment sales. If you have vendors with a consignment option that makes sense for your store, consider changing to that program. Think of it like the vendor owns the inventory and you only pay on the scan. If you shift a portion of your business into consignment, the less you have to invest to achieve your revenue goals. Another benefit of consignment is the pricing flexibility because you don't have to carry the same need for the return on the investment. So you can charge less and sell more without risking the margin drain. So I can hear my dad telling me this, but like fast nickels are always better than slow dimes. And then lastly, don't get married to your product. If you bought custom logo wear 5 years ago and it's still hanging on your rack, like know when your inventory is dead. If your product's been in the gym for a couple months and your customers have seen it 8 times at each weekly drop and it hasn't moved, they're not going to change their minds and they're not going to like it anytime soon. So accept the fact that you made a bad purchase, mark it down, be grateful that you can get anything for it, and then you can reinvest into a better buy. And then lastly, try increasing your margins. Maybe you can increase your prices. Maybe you haven't done a price increase like you have for your classes in your pro shop. Increase your prices, and then you can have sales or use discounts to make the customer feel like they're getting a better price. I had a gym a couple years ago tell me that they had a rack price and a member price to psychologically make your customers believe that they're getting a deal. Okay, did it. So here's my ask to make this, I guess, stick. So if you're with me, I want you to make a summary of the top points that you've learned today. And I want you to think about just 3 changes that you could potentially implement between now and the end of the year in your pro shop. And then take this list and in the first week of November, review it with your team, and then create like a November through January calendar and put each item on a date in the calendar, and then delegate actions out to all the key members that would have to take on responsibility for the task. And then use the calendar to keep yourself focused on what matters during the holiday season so you can rise above the chaos of the million other things that are happening in front of you because you know that exactly how it's going to feel. I really believe that if you use this workshop to make like small changes in your pro shop and you focus on strategy, you too will see yourself win in retail. So thank you.
All right, Jodi, that was incredible. We've got a few questions from the audience. You got time for that?
Yeah,
Awesome. So one of the ones that was submitted a little bit ago was, could we buy local to show we care about the community?
absolutely. There's nothing better than highlighting a vendor. I mean, I know when I go shop in my local retail store and they tell me that these pants are from, a female-run company in Seattle, I feel more empowered buying them than I would from something that was mass-produced in China. Like if you have the opportunity to buy local and tell that story, I 100% encourage you to do that in your shop because people want to know why they buy. And if you can speak to the point that resonates with them, it's going to impact your sales. Absolutely.
Well, and when you do that, wouldn't that be a good opportunity to highlight those local products on your socials, like you were mentioning earlier?
Exactly. Like put up a product review. Some of our top performing clubs have little vendor spotlights. They'll hang up a 8.5 by 11 and tell the vendor's story. Who is Destira? Destira's mother-daughter team, whatever it might be, whoever your vendor is in your pro shop, tell the story so the people know the why and the heart behind what they're selling and what you're buying.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Another question just came in. How often should we count inventory for shrinkage?
Oh, that's a great question. It really depends on your season and how quickly you're burning through your sales. So at Destira, inventory is the secret sauce. We calculate essentially what we have for weeks on hand. And this is like a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly activity. But I can look at any specific unit to know how many items I will sell in 1 week. And then if I look at, okay, if I'm selling 2 a week and I have 8 left, that means I have 4 weeks of sales left for this product. So based off your capacity and the sell through in your pro shop, you want to be doing those numbers. So if you're selling 10 a week and you have 40 leotards left in your shop, you have 4 weeks on hand for simple math. You want to make sure that you're working so you have you're ahead of yourself on your inventory and your buy-in investment. Naked racks don't sell leotards.
Thanks for mentioning that too. What do you recommend to do to help limit inventory numbers being off what is truly on hand?
Ah, I would love to know. I have a lot of gyms who struggle with product walking away. Parents will, there's a lot of people who work the front desk. Feel like that's a more specific question that I could work with a client to kind of talk through options. Unfortunately, theft is kind of part of retail business, and we look at it as like a 1 to 3% ratio of our business. That's a tough one. I would love to talk to whoever asked that question individually.
Yeah, so this is Daniel, and Daniel, I'd recommend Jodi's contact information is on the screen there. So please follow up with her at your convenience and she'll get you some details. I wrote down a few other questions as well. What are the most common mistakes you see for a first-time retailer or a gym who has never utilized a pro shop before?
Great question. Common mistakes. So sometimes we'll have, so let me back up. Common mistakes. Number one, you're not listening to your customer. So you're shopping off of what you love versus what your customers love or what size your daughter may be. So I can tell how old your daughter is if you run the pro shop because you're ordering 6 adult mediums and you're selling 1 every single time. So again, take yourself and your own personal interests out of your buying decisions and shop for the bulk of the membership that's in front of you. So if your membership is specifically peaking in that 6 to 10-year-old age group, focus 80% of your sales on those particular sizes. The second piece is pricing. I'll see a lot of clubs try and keystone, like double their cost investment on their leotards. And leotards are part of the service and the experience of what you're offering. You make your money specifically on your classes, ideally. And this is part of the experience. So you don't want pricing to be a deterrent. You want it to be an easy impulse purchase. So assortment, price, And then I think the last piece is just kind of letting a product sit for too long. Like, don't be afraid to mark an item down and just get your cost out of it so you can reinvest into something that will sell. And that way you'll keep your product feeling really fresh.
That kind of lends into another question that was recently asked about an iClass Pro and Destira partnership. And so we are excited to be partnering with Destira today on this webinar. And I think that question was leading towards, a selected inventory automatically uploaded to your iClass Pro point of sale. And that's not something that is done today, but we highly encourage you to check out Destira's inventory and then upload those products into your iClass Pro point of sale. And then additionally, Ashley asked, can you use a scanner with the iClass point of sale? And the answer to that is yes, you can use a scanner for the iClass point of sale. A couple more questions for you, Jodi. You said something earlier, never let your customer shop alone. Now, when doing that, how do you avoid your pushy salesperson persona?
That's a great question. I don't think you're pushy if you're listening, right? So you're asking questions, you're understanding the need, you're being friendly, and you're only offering them product if you have what they actually need. So to me, it sounds like these are some of our, like, we have our best sellers assorted here in the front that are the favorites of the team girls who are here 4 or 5 days a week. If you're looking to spend a little bit less, there's a sale rack in the back of the shop where you have $20 items. And if you have a daughter who really prioritizes like comfort and she's got sensitive skin, like, this is a brand that we love as well. So it's taking what you've heard and being confident in making suggestions without allowing any of your bias to come into play, because you're really speaking to what the customer needs. You don't want to hover. You don't want to be a bother, but you're the expert. And most of us want to be helped. And if you're listening, you can make a recommendation that benefits the customer versus benefits yourself.
Awesome. And then I have one more for you. So you talked about Q4 being the busiest, and that's where we go from the red to the black traditionally, right? But how do our listeners take what they've learned today and get ahead in Q1 of next year so that the scramble is not at the end of the year, but that's just, a little bit of extra?
Ooh, well, first of all, focus on Q4, because Q1 is notoriously a sales quarter, right? January is all clearance. So I would build that into your plan. If you have leftover inventory from Q4, you want to focus on that sale clearance concept to move out the product that didn't go over the holidays so you can reinvest. Q1 is a great time to feature holidays. So you've got Valentine's in there, you've got St. Patrick's Day, you've got Easter. So you can dress up your shop around those 3 themes to keep people interested in product for their athletes as gifts that go and tie to those holidays. You also have competition season really peaking. So are there items that your coaches, or excuse me, that your athletes would want that would support them during competition? So you really have to think about the environment of the gym, what's happening, and then build into it.
Awesome. We'll give it just one more minute for any additional questions. Deanne asked a question about sending out the checklist for the pro shop that was on the screen earlier. And that will be available obviously in this recording, as well as the getting started how-to guide with iClass Pro's point of sale. I hope that answered your question, Deanne.
Yeah, if anybody wants to text me or email me for any specifics on this deck, I'm happy to share that checklist, the calendar, whatever else it is that you might need.
And like I said, it'll be available in this recording as well. It doesn't look like we have any additional questions. So thank you, Jodi. That's such incredible and amazing information. I think the principles that you provided here today and iClass Pro's point of sale make a really great combination. If you still have questions iClass Pro related, you can reach out to support@iclasspro.com to help get you started. And if you're not yet an iClassPro partner, you can scan the QR code on the screen to get scheduled for your free demo, the QR code on the right of the screen. And just as a reminder, again, today's webinar has been recorded, and that recording will be sent to the email address that you used to register. And the point of sale how-to guide is being posted in the chat. And that will be included in that email as well. Big thank you to you, Jodi, for providing your expertise and time today. If you have additional questions for Jodi, you can reach her at Jodi Levy at Destira.com or 503-227-0908. And that is on this slide as well. So thank you again so much for your time, Jodi. We appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.